Hamtramck, Michigan. Hamtramck, Michigan, ranked 10th, is a melting pot of diversity. This small city is surrounded by the city of Detroit. Although it is one of the smallest cities in Michigan by area, it is much more densely populated than other cities. With nearly 28,000 people living within just 2 square miles, it is one of the most densely populated areas in the state. When poverty, unemployment, and cultural conflict are confined to such a small area, demand is likely to increase rather than decrease. While the general crime rate is close to the national average, violent crime rates are much higher, with robberies and aggravated assaults being the main culprits. For many years, Hamtramck was primarily known for its auto industry. Immigrant workers here built their lives around factory shifts, neighborhood taverns, and narrow alleys. Pine Bluff, Arkansas. The 9th city is Pine Bluff, Arkansas, where natural beauty is intertwined with a long-standing wound. Located southeast of Little Rock on the banks of the Arkansas River, this city was once one of the state's major industrial cities. Lumber, agriculture, and manufacturing were the city's main sources of income. In the past, these sectors kept the city afloat. But when these industries began to decline, Pine Bluff collapsed instead of gradually disappearing. As a result, the population dropped dramatically. Old jobs were lost faster than new ones were created, causing the entire area to lag behind. Pine Bluff currently has a violent crime rate of about 1,650 per million people, about 5 times the national average. This is not a city where crime has temporarily increased, but rather it has suffered from a long-term economic downturn and industrial relocation. With a poverty rate of 37% and a public safety budget deficit, the demand has now become permanent. Wilmington, Delaware. City number 8 is Wilmington, Delaware. Behind every wall is a great divide. This city, located between Philadelphia and Baltimore, is known as one of the wealthiest corridors in America. On paper, it should be very prosperous. It is home to major banks, corporate headquarters, and business-friendly laws. Billions of dollars pass through the city every day, but very little of that wealth is used within the city. Just blocks away from all the glittering glass towers are neighborhoods that have struggled for decades with poverty, underdeveloped education systems, and rampant violent crime. Despite its small population, Wilmington has one of the highest murder rates per capita in the country. The contrast here is unsettling. On one side, you can stand in the shadow of multi-million-dollar bank headquarters, and less than a mile away, you can find a street with a violent crime rate 3 times the national average. In Wilmington, wealth doesn't flow from the top down, it stays in one place. When you get off I-95 to get gas, don't be fooled by the corporate logo. Bessemer, Alabama. At number 7 is Bessemer, Alabama, which has been called the skeleton of the American dream. If you want to see the real skeleton of the American dream, go to Bessemer. This once thriving center of the iron and steel industry has not only collapsed, it has been hollowed out. Today, the old, rusting industrial structures still tower over residential areas. Bessemer is dangerous not just because of its size, it is often overlooked in the national conversation. Despite having the highest per capita violent crime rate in the country, Bessemer has been quiet when neighboring Birmingham has made the news. 33 out of every 1,000 residents are victims of some form of violence, meaning that 1 in 30 people are at risk of being attacked each year. Violence here is no longer newsworthy, it is a part of everyday life. Located southwest of Birmingham, this city is close enough to benefit from the larger metro area, but far enough away to be immune to its problems. Once known as the Marvel City, the city was built on steel and heavy industry, which were the backbone of the local economy for decades. Oak Haven, Tennessee. In 6th place is Oak Haven, Tennessee. It's essentially a logistics hell. Most people know Memphis for its music and barbecue, but a few miles south of those bright lights is Oak Haven. This is no ordinary pretty town. The area is caught in a vast web of the world's busiest freight airport and truck routes. The dangers of Oak Haven don't hide in the dark, but rather in the bright light of the industrial area's floodlights that never go out. Oak Haven is a statistical nightmare hidden in plain sight. It regularly appears on the list of the most dangerous neighborhoods in Memphis, one of the most violent cities in America. Violent crime rates are not only rising, they're skyrocketing. With a poverty rate of nearly 30% and an infrastructure built to transport goods, this city has no regard for human safety. It can go from a shipping hub to a crime scene in the blink of an eye. Miami, Arizona. Miami, Arizona comes in at number 5. It's located in the middle of the desert. As its name suggests, the city has no beaches, palm trees, or ocean breezes. Miami is located in the high desert region of eastern Arizona, surrounded by vast copper mines and steep mountains. The mining industry is the city's lifeblood and a struggle for survival. When the price of copper rises, Miami thrives. When the price falls, the city collapses. Decades of mining have left the city with environmental damage, a lack of economic diversity, and a shrinking population. Miami, while small, is not a comfortable place. In a typical year, there are 56.5 crimes per 1,000 residents in this desert area. At the same time, the city struggles with a poverty rate of about 32%, which has further weakened its economic situation. It is not a violent place in the traditional sense, but a confusing place. The people here feel isolated and are serving a community whose future is completely uncertain. Taos, New Mexico. The fourth city is Taos, New Mexico, where beauty often masks institutional failure. Taos is often compared to paradise. The light, scenery, and diverse lifestyle have drawn artists, writers, and tourists here for generations. From above, Taos appears to be a thriving city. Galleries are packed, homes are expensive, and the city has retained its own unique identity. But this version of Taos is not where most ordinary people live. While the city hasn't completely fallen into chaos, it is one of the most dangerous small cities in the Southwest per capita. Violent crime rates are nearly double the national average, and property crimes, especially burglaries and robberies, are common. This makes Taos one of the most dangerous destinations on this list. Street lighting is poor, police jurisdictions are fragmented, and emergency services take a long time to arrive. Behind the glamour lies deep economic inequality. People's incomes are far below the cost of living. Due to high prices, older residents are being forced to leave the areas where they grew up and move to other places. Farmington, New Mexico. Farmington is in third place. Travel magazines love this town in Farmington, New Mexico. With rivers, steep red rock mountains, easy access to Mesa Verde and Chaco Canyon, it's home to some of the most beautiful desert scenery in America. On paper, it might be anyone's favorite place to visit. But those who know the area, especially locals, will tell you a different story. You can drive through it if you want, but it's best not to stay too long. Because Farmington's reputation is not only for crime, but also for the reality of a complicated border town that has developed over decades. Farmington is located in the Four Corners region where the states of New Mexico, Arizona, Colorado, and Utah meet. It has a population of about 46,000, which is the largest city on this list. While it's an economic hub, the statistics tell a different story. Farmington's crime rate is well above the national average. The property theft rate is also significantly higher than in many cities of its size. The average household income here is about $55,000. Deming, New Mexico. In second place is Deming, New Mexico. You might think it's a place to get gas, take a walk, or grab a burrito, but locals will warn you to get gas and drive for a reason. That's because this small desert town sits at one of the most complex intersections in the American Southwest. When highways, border roads, and transportation routes converge, things get complicated. Deming is located along Interstate 10, about 60 miles north of the US-Mexico border. The population is about 14,000. At first glance, it looks like a typical southern New Mexico neighborhood with more dry grass than dry desert, historic buildings, and traffic lights. But the numbers paint a darker picture. Deming has a higher violent crime rate, especially assaults, than the national average. The median household income is about $33,000, well below the US median. The poverty rate is about 30%. Luna County law enforcement agencies are battling border crimes like drugs and human trafficking along the I-10 corridor. Temperatures here soar to 100 to 105 degrees Fahrenheit in the summer. When there's a major highway between Los Angeles, Phoenix, El Paso, and the border, it not only brings tourists, but also criminal gangs. Milan, New Mexico. The number one city on the list is Milan, New Mexico. Imagine driving through a quiet desert town and suddenly realizing that the main activity in the area is not a factory, a mine, or a farm, but a prison the size of an entire city. Welcome to Milan. This town of about 3,200 people is a place where prisons and inmates have become the main force of the city. Milan is located about 80 miles west of Albuquerque along Interstate 40. At first glance, it may seem like a typical New Mexico desert town with gas stations, motels, and dusty highways. But the city's identity is largely tied to its main prison, the Sibylla County Correctional Center. Although the town has a population of 3,200, the nearby jails house thousands of inmates and detainees. The median household income here is about $42,000 and the poverty rate is 20 to 22%. The prison system is one of the largest sources of employment for the people here. When a city's economy revolves around prisons, it has some strange effects. There are vans transporting prisoners, law enforcement activity, and the occasional major crime. Federal investigations have uncovered drug trafficking rings linked to the prison system, including deadly drugs like fentanyl and methamphetamine. This means Milan sits next to a system that attracts the very crimes it is supposed to suppress. These prison-centric cities operate on a strange balance, providing jobs for guards while creating an uncomfortable environment.